I'm going to start with you, Neeraj. I wanted to ask, how, going back to the very genesis of this production, kind of how this kind of came to be, and what was the kind of original inspiration for this story?
The inspiration came from this article, this op-ed essay that was written for New York Times by Basharat Peer. This was introduced to me by my producer, Somin Mishra, and when I read it, it was a story of these two young boys, Mohammad Sayyid and Amrit Kumar, and the tragedy that had befallen them. It was quite a moving story, but also gave me an opportunity to explore and unravel a wider question that was about why do migrants leave? What situations make them want to leave? And also go towards the universal theme of like how the connection between two people who are overlooked and two people who the world doesn't want to be seen and heard and validated, they look within. And that connection is a form of resistance against systems that deny them the visibility. So those were the constructs, and also to put in my own personal, I had to make it personal, so I went into my own upbringing as a Dalit from the so-called lower caste, and I experienced the same shame as the character did, and I wanted to put it out there, and that's how all of it came together, with my co-writer of stories, Sumit Roy, helping me through with it, and then Varun Grover and Sridhar Dubey helped me in the writing process as well.
It's a wonderful performance from you guys. Did you know each? Had you ever met beforehand? And to get these roles, did you have to do a kind of screen test to get a sense for the chemistry that we see on screen?
Yes.
No and yes. We only knew each other socially before, and yes, we did do one reading together. I received a call from Mr. Karan Johar, the wonderful producer and the enabler of this movie, and he told me he was making a movie with Neeraj, and this is a gentleman and a director that I wanted to work with for 10 years. And so I jumped at the opportunity of meeting with him, but it was when I read the script that I realized how important it is. And the core of the film is the friendship, and so I think we all knew when we did this reading together. We're the only two actors that read together, I believe, for this. And we read a scene, one of the scenes, in the film where they kind of talk to each other about their strife and their struggles. Very descriptive of their relationship, And that was kind of, I think, after that, the rest was history, And he asked us to build this friendship off screen and be vulnerable with each other so that we could be able to lean on each other through this journey. And that's what we tried to do.
Yeah, even now we do that.
Yeah, it's just quite nice and rare to see a film about friendship. Often the core relationship in movies is often romantic.
Yeah.
But to see a friendship story like this was quite unique, I think.
I think somebody said it's a love story between friends.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But not to make you guys blush, but you write these characters, you put the characters onto the page, and then you have to hope that the actors bring them to life. How impressive were these two wonderful performers sat by you?
No, sorry, jokes apart, genuinely I couldn't have found better people than these both to play these characters, and it has been a revelation throughout. You're afraid, and because any writer director is very insecure as to how this character will transpire from the screen, from the script from paper to the screen, and I think it more than me, I think it's the cumulative energy and the vision that we all had. I think we all adhere to it, because for us this film is above all of us. And I think that vision helped guide all of us together. And that's why I think even I've strived and even they have strived to go as close as we can to the lived experience. And that's why it sort of helped. And yeah, the boys have been like amazing. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better choice.
We couldn't have asked for a better director. Yeah. This is getting a bit soppy, but it's really like, true. Yeah. It's true.
But thank you for asking this question. Otherwise, off screen he doesn't praise us.
Yeah, you got to put him on the spot. On
That's
camera.
what makes him a good director.
But you mentioned a story for all of us. I mean, it is a story, obviously in this instance specific to India, but it is universal, and it's a reflection really of the world that we live in today, where so many people feel like there's not much opportunity, not much hope. But because you sort of mentioned that you came from a kind of working class background, but you obviously found your way into the arts. Do you think there could be more done for people like yours, such as yourself, to give opportunities to young people, such as the characters we see in this film?
You know, I mean, I've been a proponent of having a soft DEI in films, and that has been my endeavor since the first film that I've done. I ensure that we have 50% of participation of women in the film and crew. You know, I try to bring people from the marginalized communities, and I try to give them, and this is not coming from a woke place, this is also coming from a place of wanting to have cultural diversity, so that brings in more creativity, more polish to a narrative. And it has been a strong thing. I mean, I sort of almost have like an inclusion rider in the way I approach, in the way I want people on board. So that has always been the priority for me.
And he truly does, I want to add to this, he really does practice what he preaches. There are protocols on his set that call for kind of a breaking down of all kinds of hierarchy, which actually makes it much easier for a functional set. And he really does invite opinion of every single person on set. And if they're not willingly giving it to him, or not willingly, but if they're hesitating perhaps, he'll draw it out of them. You know, he wants it to feel like it's truly a collaborative experience. Even though he knows best what film he's making, he'll listen to everyone.
Yeah, talking of taking opinions, just quickly, I wanted to ask about Scorsese, because I know obviously, how did that come to be? How did he come to be kind of involved in this project? And what sort of notes was he giving that you really kind of cherished for this?
His association came about because of my co-producer, Melita Tosconzo-Plantier. She's friends with him, and she introduced him to us, and then he read the script, he gave us notes, and he really loved the script, and that's how he came on board. Then we did a back and forth with the script, and then he came at the edit stage, and he was bowled over by, you know, how we transpired it from paper to screen. And even at the edit stage, he gave a lot of notes, and the most prominent notes that I could remember was to stay with the boys, and that really helped me shape and bring focus to the film, and not concentrating too much on the ancillary characters. So that, I think that's really helped me.
Yeah. And Ishaan, I was going to ask, because I read a quote from you which was really interesting. You said the role required you to shed vanity. And I'm interested to know, is that one of the most important rules of being an actor, do you think? But is it also quite a hard one to reconcile with? When you first start in this profession, is that something that you have to really kind of learn to do, to kind of get rid of that kind of vanity as an actor and kind of just lose yourself in a role?
I think you know, different material require different approaches, but yes, I do agree with that statement. I think the whole idea of, at least my philosophy or approach to acting, is more about being rather than doing, or acting, so to say. So the first thing to know is that when you're living life, you're going through the beats, you're experiencing it as you go. Most people are not exactly watching themselves from a conscious lens and being performative, they're just experiencing it. So the idea is to really be in the moment and experience it, you know, not project it, not portray it, but to experience something. And that's why they say that listening is, comprises most of acting, you know. So yeah, I think definitely shedding your vanity, but also there was a rider when he said, lose the muscles, lose all of that, I want it to be invisible. And he was right, because, you know, he didn't want anybody to see, because we've both worked for a few years now, he didn't want anybody to see us before they saw the characters.
Oh, yeah. And I wanted to ask, because obviously the story is of kind of two young, I mean, there's so much to this story, but if you kind of simplified it, it's two young men trying to get home, of course. I'm interested to know, where is kind of home for all of you? I don't mean that in a sort of, in terms of a country. Is there a specific place that you still refer to or believe is your home?
For me, I think my family is my home, for sure.
Yeah, I think for me too, I would say the same. Home is a person, you know, and for me, I would say my mother feels like home, and the people you love in your life. But also there's a beautiful line in the film where he talks about, where Shoaib talks about the sights, the sounds, the smells, the fact that when he hears the morning prayer, he feels like embraced by an elder. And home is a feeling, you know, and it's a sense of belonging. So yeah, I think that to me defines home.
Yeah.
Home is family, of course, but also it's a feeling, it's a memory that takes you back or makes you stay alive in a moment. Yeah. And it could just be like sitting by a nook and listening to your favorite music by yourself, it could still feel home.
That's a great answer. I mean, this film is very emotionally rich, and it's not that easy to watch at times. There's some quite strong scenes in this and very sort of serious themes explored. How do you seek to keep kind of levity on set? And is it especially important on a film like this, where it is some of the sequences you've got to perform requires so much emotionally from you?
That's so well observed.
Yeah.
It's true. If I may take this, no, I think we've all been saying that it requires a certain emotional endurance to be able to shoot a film like this and not dry out. And I think he was kind of the purveyor of tone on set, and he really was sensitive to the fact that there were certain scenes that required the actors to stay immersed. And then there were days and then there were moments where he would just, crack a joke, lighten things up on set, play some music that is lighter. I think we all tried to instinctively do that because we knew that it would take a lot from us, and we didn't want to risk it becoming a chore. This was something that felt very, it resonated with all of us on a deep level, and also it's a true story. So it's a responsibility not to just act it, but to really lend yourself.
Yeah. Because obviously this played at festivals and stuff. I'm sure you've travelled with this film. Have you, because there's some tough sequences. I mean, the ending is so sort of devastating to watch, and it made me cry so much last night. Have you, after the lights come up, have you seen lots of kind of puffy eyes, sort of and does that in some ways, is that like, job well done? We got it.
I don't want to be that,
But you're going to do it. Yeah, you're going to do it.
No, because the thing is that people don't. I've sensed that people are not crying because they feel sad. I think they feel catharsis. I mean, it's also their own personal churn that comes in the foreground that was sort of dormant. So I think that's what people experience, that, and they feel like connected with the film, tracing back their own history and what has happened. I feel it's a good cry.
Yeah.
It's something that we all need, perhaps, because to feel human again.
Yeah, I don't think I cry when I'm sad. I think I cry when things are kind of, like you said, cathartic or even happy, actually, sometimes is what makes people cry. But I mean, this film has been so well received, and it has so much to say. How much does it mean to you guys to have been a part of this movie and this whole experience sort of with Homebound?
This has been learning experience and life-changing experience for me, and I will never forget throughout my life what I have taken from this set, working with Neeraj sir, and whatever I've learned from on this set as an actor and as a person too. So, it was actually a purifying process for me. So now in my real life also, I feel more relaxed, I feel more comfortable with myself. I have accepted myself as I am without any insecurity, and there will always be more scope to accept myself and a lot of improvements. But so now when I have accepted myself and at the same time accepted everyone I see with their different kind of ideology or different point of view, it has made my life easier. So I think this is the biggest takeaway from the film.
Yeah, that's great. And I was going to ask, because it's the official entry for the Oscars, isn't it? I mean, what is that? Obviously, that's the most important thing, is that you make the movie, it connects with audiences. But was that quite nice to hear when you found out this was the film that was being put forward for the Academy Awards next year?
Honestly, personally, for me, the reward is in the experience of how people react to it, and also what it means for the cast and crew. That is the biggest reward, and also moments like these when sitting across of Mr. Scorsese. But it's also a cumulative responsibility for all of us, not just as a crew but also as a nation, to represent this film. So there's a huge sense of responsibility, and we are going to work very, very hard towards it. But I don't have expectations. No. I'd like to work hard, but I don't want to expect anything.
No. Yeah, I think when you've had a meeting with Scorsese, and everything after that's less rough. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!